first up is going to be Wholesomes large breed chicken meal and rice. All right, goes for $42.99. Now, whenever you see it say something like chicken meal and rice, what it means is that 25% of the formula must contain chicken meal and rice. The other 75% could be made up by something else. Now, what are the first things that I'm looking at here? First thing I'm looking at here that's attractive to my eye is no corn, wheat, or soy. We're gonna get into that here in a minute. Also, balanced omega-6 and 3. We got whole grain. It says over 50 pounds at maturity. So these are the type of dogs or large breed that this particular food was made for. As you know, for large breed, the density, the caloric density and nutritional density is actually lower than for smaller breed. And that's really important. Now, when I go ahead and turn the bag over, if you notice, they actually detail line by line what's going on over here, because this is where they want to capture your attention. They don't want you to be looking too much at this. If you look at the first ingredient, you got chicken meal, okay? You got brown rice, you got peas, you have rice again, you have chicken fat mixed with tocopherols. We'll look up what that is. But, you know, just all in all, what I'm seeing is a lot of brown rice, peas, chicken fat, the rice and peas, brown rice, peas, and rice for me is nothing more than a filler. So pretty much I'm seeing a lot of fillers just from the start. Also, you're not seeing straight up chicken, it's chicken meal. So it could be just about anything that's coming from the chicken. So just keep that in mind. Now, looking over here, a lot of you always ask me, like, what are the percentages you're looking for whenever you're getting dog food? For me, 24, 20 would be ideal. That would be 24% protein and 20% fat. Now, one of the main indicators for me whenever I'm looking at dog food, when I see crude fat, if I see a low percentage like this right here, 13%, for me, it's a big deal, because it means that the majority of the protein that's coming in this bag, for me, it's not coming from an animal source. Otherwise, that crude fat would be higher. Rest of the ingredients, they make it look real good. You got omega-6, omega-3, you got a little bit of glucosamine going on with chondroitin, which that's great. But this, for me, is one of the main indicators. Again, this is priced at $42.99, and we'll go. Next up, I'm going to be looking at Victor beef meal and brown rice formula. This one is priced at $44.99. Let's take a look at what we see. Again, I definitely take a look at what's on here. I'm seeing selenium yeast, mineral compress. We got prebiotics and probiotics. What immediately captures my eye is 77% protein from meat, 21% coming from grain. You got to keep in mind, whenever a manufacturer is making a bag of kibble, grain is going to be cheaper than actual meat itself. And therefore, whenever I see that grain percentage go up and this percentage go down, or even the veggie and plants protein percentage go up, for me is a red flag. Let's turn it around, let's see what it says. All right, so when we turn it around, we immediately see it's got 24% protein, which is pretty good in my book, but the crude fat is at 12%, which tells me immediately, at least to me in my opinion, that this bag is not mostly made of animal products. Otherwise, that crude fat would be higher. When you look at the first 5 ingredients, you're seeing beef meal, grain sour gum, which is a filler, whole grain brown rice, which is a filler. You got chicken fat preserved with mixed tocopherols. You got yeast culture. You got dehydrated alfalfa meal. So mainly the advertising behind this, when you're looking at it, which is beef meal and brown rice formula, 25% of it must contain beef meal and brown rice within this bag. If you notice, everything else is a lot of fillers, fam. So just keep that in mind. Again, this bag goes for $44.99. Since I'm over here next to Victor, we're gonna go ahead and check out their ocean fish formula. This particular bag goes for $63.99, rather expensive. So let's take a look at the bag and let's see what it says. Again, selenium yeast, we got mineral complexes, prebiotics, probiotics, and here's the immediate red flags for me. 68 protein from meat sources. So if it's an ocean fish formula, you're telling me that you got 21% of the proteins coming from veggies and plants and 11% coming from grain. This particular number went down from the last bag we just showed you. Let's go ahead and turn it around and see what the first 5 products are. 24% crude protein, and again, 12% crude fat. It's the second bag that we've had from Victor that has that same percentage. Now we're seeing here on the ingredients, we got Manhattan fish meal, source of DHA, okay? And then it says grain sorghum, peas, chicken fat again, preserved with the tocopherols, and whole grain millet. Again, in the first 5 ingredients, what we're seeing mainly is grains and fillers. It does say dehydrated salmon over here, but then it's followed again by whole grain brown rice, yeast culture, dehydrated alfalfa meal. So over and over again, you're seeing the fillers increasing, and I believe that's the main reason you're going to see that animal fat number go down. Again, this is a 40-pound bag, as you can see here. It's going for $63.99, and it's obviously made by Victor. Since we are in the area where there's a lot of Victor dog food, I want to show you something. Here you got 74.260. Over here you got 77.230. We got 92.17. You're already knowing I'm liking this better. You got 81.316. 72.226, 81.316, and 82.210, which I'll be honest with you, I do use this one for my pups. So that way you can have an idea whenever I do look at a bag, I'm looking for that animal protein content, and I'm looking for the one that's actually carrying the highest. All right. Also along in this aisle, we have puppy formula from 4Health. This particular bag goes for $48.99. Actually, I see something here I already like the minute I see it. It says fortified with taurine. We're actually going to talk about this here in a minute. Let's go ahead and flip the bag over. All right, so when we look at this immediately, you're seeing crude protein 27%, crude fat, look at the jump, up to 15%. Still not at 20, but it definitely jumped up. More importantly, it has taurine right over here, which is really important, because whenever you find a bag that is grain-free, such as this, there was actually a study done saying that grain-free food would actually cause dilated cardiomyopathy in dogs. Turns out that this little thing right here, taurine, actually stops that from happening, and therefore, there you have it. Now let's look at the first 5 ingredients. We got chicken. Notice, not chicken meal, not chicken flavor, not chicken anything else other than chicken. Then it's followed by chicken meal, garbanzo beans, peas, pea flour, and egg product. All in all, those first 5 to 6 ingredients, in my opinion, are actually pretty good all the way around. The one I really don't like out of all of them is the pea flour, but outside of that, everything else is looking all right. I don't like the fact that you have egg product as well, because egg product means it could be the yolk, it could be the white, it could be the shell. You don't know what part it is. But all in all, as you can see, this starts out with chicken. For me, is really well worth it, especially if you're having a pup for those first 6 months. That way you could prevent something like, I don't know, dilated cardiomyopathy, because it does have taurine. All right, so keep that in mind. So we're gonna go ahead and check out this other aisle. Let's check out this particular bag. Adult Complete Nutrition, roasted chicken, rice, and vegetable flavor. That's the first red flag. Pedigree, going for $21.99. 18-pound bonus size. Let's go ahead and turn this bag over and let's see. All right, well, hold on. Let's take a look at the front here. It's saying 100% complete balance, food for adult dogs. It says no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial flavors, and no sugar added. Now let's take a look at the back. All right, so look, we got 21% crude protein. Crude fat is down to 10%. Look at the first 5 ingredients. We have whole grain corn, meat and bone meal, soybean meal, animal fat source of omega-6 fatty acids, preserved BHA and citric acid, corn gluten meal, natural flavor. So as you guys are figuring it out, this is actually manufactured by Mars. I definitely don't like the ingredients in this particular bag. For me, I call this make-believe food. Really, it's a bag of flour that's made to taste or have, what is it? If it says flavor, you could have up to 3% of whatever flavor it is that you're talking about. If you notice, you got meat and bone meal. It doesn't say where the meat's coming from, how much bone, how much meat. It doesn't say any of that. You got you have ground whole grain corn. For those of you that are seeing your dogs having food allergies, that's a biggie right there, as well as soybeans. So definitely, you can see I'm not a big fan of Pedigree Adult. Again, this is the 18-pound bag for 18-pound bonus size for Pedigree Adult. So in leaving this aisle, we're gonna head over here. They have Diamond. So let's check out what Diamond has. Let's look at Diamond Naturals, large breed puppy, lamb, and rice formula. All right, so guaranteed probiotics, that's good. Pasture raised lamb, complete balanced food for large breed puppies. All right, so let's go ahead and turn this bag over and let's see what it's all about. My bad, forgot to mention this bag does go for $53.99. As you can see, we have crude protein 27%, crude fat 15%. So that's a plus. When you see 15% or more on the crude fat, it's telling you it's coming from an animal source. When you look at the ingredients, there you have it. Lamb meal, whole grain brown rice, which is a filler, cracked pearled barley, grain sorghum. Okay, that sorghum is also a filler, dried yeast, egg product. All right, so the products are not necessarily the worst when you put them all together, the first 5. The fact that you're starting out with lamb and lamb meal is a major plus in my eyes, as well as whole grain brown rice. Now, I know that that's a filler, but you don't have to think if it's a flour or any other type of refined product at that point. Again, that's Diamond Naturals at $53.99, and that is for a 40-pound bag. All right, just to be fair to Victor as well, we're gonna go ahead and check out Diamond Naturals Skin and Coat All Life Stages Dog Salmon and Potato Formula with 80 million CFU. More importantly, made with real salmon. Priced at $41.99. Let's go ahead and flip this bag over and see what it says. All right, so once flipped over, it's got 25% crude protein, 14% crude fat. It's not 15% like I normally like, but it's not 12% either. Ingredients: salmon, fish meal, potatoes, lentils, peas, pea flour. For me, that's a no-no. And canola oil. I don't like to see flour of any kind, especially when you're paying, over $30 a bag of anything. But nonetheless, I would say the first 5 ingredients are not too bad, and the fact that you have salmon as the first ingredient, and we know all the benefits salmon actually can bring to our dogs, that's definitely a plus. Again, that's Diamond Naturals Skin and Coat All Life Stages Salmon and Potatoes at $41.99. Let's take a look at Hill's Science Diet. I'm looking at the large breed light. It says with chicken meal and barley. So whenever you see a formula like that, only 25% of it must be included in the bag, and other things could be added after that. So let's go ahead and flip over this bag and let's see what the main ingredients are. In this particular bag, the ingredients are on the side here. If you look at the percentages, crude protein is 20%. Crude fat is only 5.5%. That's 5.5%. That's a big red flag for me. So let's take a look at the ingredients. So we start out with chicken meal, cracked pearl barley, pea fiber, whole grain wheat, whole grain corn, corn gluten meal, whole grain sorghum, powdered cellulose, chicken liver flavor, soybean oil, dried beet pulp, flaxseed, you know, there's a reason why I wanted to show you guys this. I want to show you that in particular because a lot of you will go to your vet and ask about the barf diet. And your vet will tell you never give your dog barf diet, give them this. It's usually on their shelf. It's usually highly priced. You catch my drift? If you notice, their marketing is pretty interesting. They got the dog food information at the bottom in brown and yellow. And then over here in red and white, it says veterinarian recommended while it's sitting on your veterinarian's shelf. Just keep that in mind, fam. Again, this is Hill's Science Diet, veterinarian recommended, large breed, light adult. Don't have a price all the way down there. I could just see this particular one. It's at $75. One next to it, top bag 63, bottom bag, which is right next to this one, is at 68. That's why I tell you, you got to be very careful with the marketing. I hope it's getting real for y'all. We got Sportmix, we got Blue Buffalo, and we got Wilderness we're about to review. Got Sportmix Premium Energy Plus, that 2420 label. Very attractive for me. Love that 24% protein and 20% fat. Now let's go ahead and flip this bag over. All right, so let's check out their percentages. They got the 24% crude protein, 20% fat. That's looking good so far. Down here they got the ingredient list. So it starts out with meat meal, then ground yellow corn, chicken fat preserved with mixed tocopherols. We got chicken byproduct meal, ground brewer's rice, dried beet. Now I will tell you, for the price and the percentages and the ingredients, now mind you, I don't like the fact that it's got corn because that's an allergen, but it's not the worst. Now with that being said, we got to talk about this particular product. You see, there's something that actually happened in December 30th of 2020, and that's Midwest Pet Food Inc. actually had to recall particular batches of Sportmix that it had made, and over 70 dogs were reported nationally through the news that actually had died. For me, just for that reason alone, it's a big red flag for me. It tells me that whatever type of practices were going on in the back actually affected dogs nationally. Could have been mine, and they could have been dead. All right, next up we got Blue Buffalo. We got adult beef and brown rice recipe. It says deboned beef, wholesale whole grains, healthy fruits and veggies. See if it says anything else up here that would be interesting for me. Not really. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over and check out what the ingredient list is. So this one's got the panel on the side. Starts out with deboned beef, chicken meal, brown rice, barley, oatmeal, peas, and famous chicken fat, preserved mixed with tocopherols. Okay, not too shabby. I like the fact that the deboned beef is the very first ingredient there, followed by chicken meal. Okay, we got crude protein 24%, crude fat at 14%. It's not the best, definitely not the worst. So all in all, it definitely wasn't the worst as far as ingredients. This bag, however, is priced at $63.99. That's not for 40 or 44 pounds, it's just for 30 pounds. So to me, it makes you kind of think a little bit, because I would be expecting chicken rather than chicken meal with the dog food actually priced that high. In order to be fair, we're gonna go ahead and check out Blue Diamond's Wilderness line. Okay, Rocky Mountain recipe. So whenever it talks about recipe, it's talking that it needs to have at minimum 25% of whatever it is it's saying. So it says red meat and life source bits. So I'm expecting a higher fat percentage as well as protein percentage. So let's take a look. All right, so essentially I see it. I see 30% crude protein, 15% crude fat. So let's take a look at the ingredients. Starts out with deboned beef, beef meal, pea protein, pea starch, tapioca starch, which again, these are nothing more than fillers, peas, fish meal, dried egg product, okay, dried tomato pomace. All right, so there's a little tidbit to this, however. This bag actually runs for $67.99, and all you're getting is 22 pounds. Whereas the other one, which was actually running $63.99, you were actually getting 30 pounds. It wasn't the worst ingredients, wasn't the best, but we still felt it was high priced. Here, this was priced even more. At the same time, you're getting much less. The ingredients are not necessarily blowing me out the water. All right, so now we're checking out Taste of the Wild. It's called the High Prairie Puppy Recipe with roasted bison and roasted venison, grain-free recipe, priced at $56.99. Now, you know I'm looking for taurine to be up here somewhere, since you are going to be feeding grain-free, especially to puppies. So let's check it out. Taking a look at the percentages, we got crude protein 28%, crude fat 17%, which is great. I like that, especially when you're talking about grain-free puppy food. But let's take a look at the ingredients. So we got water buffalo, lamb meal, sweet potatoes, egg product, pea protein, peas, potatoes, chicken fat preserved, mixed with tocopherols. Okay, so ingredients are actually decent. I like the percentages. When you take a look at the weight, we're talking about 28 pounds. Also, did we see the taurine I was talking about? Let me take a look again. And yes, there it is. You see it right there. Taurine at 0.12%. I feel like this is under marketing on behalf of them. I hope they're watching and they're able to add this, because you definitely want to see taurine in there whenever you're buying anything that is grain-free as far as dog food. All right, so let's take a closer look again at another bag of Taste of the Wild, this time High Prairie. One of the more popular bags that I've seen, priced at $56.99. It says canine recipe with roasted bison and roasted venison as well. This time it's not for puppies, so the concentration or the density, the caloric density, will not be the same. So let's take a look at it. Again, crude protein is high at 32%, crude fat 18%, not too shabby. Crude fiber 4%. Look at the ingredient list. We start out with water buffalo, lamb meal, chicken meal, sweet potatoes, peas, potatoes, and the famous chicken fat preserved, mixed with tocopherols and egg products. So overall, the ingredients are pretty decent. I like the percentages. I like the fact that it also has taurine in there. Now, let's take a look at how many pounds come with this particular bag. Again, this Taste of the Wild bag is also 28 pounds. So it seems that 28 pounds is what they mostly make, and they do add the probiotics into their bags. Again, I see no sign of taurine in the front. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and give Purina here another chance to redeem itself. This particular bag goes for $65.99. Purina Pro Plan is a 34-pound bag. It says adult large breed. So let's see what else catches my eyes in the front. It says chicken is the first ingredient. All right, so let's check it out here. We got 26% protein, 12% fat. So that 12% fat's already raising a red flag for me. Ingredients: chicken, rice, filler, corn gluten meal, filler, whole grain wheat, filler, and an allergen, as well as that corn. Poultry byproduct meal. Poultry byproduct meal, what does that mean? What type of poultry is it? And what part of it is it? You don't know. Is it the liver? Is it the beak? Is it the feet? You don't know. Whole grain corn, barley, beef fat. You notice whenever they're talking about meat, for the exception of chicken, it gets all vague whenever they're talking about byproduct. Whereas whenever they're talking about grain, is whole grain wheat, whole grain corn, barley. You know, they're very precise when it comes to the grains. Again, I'm not very impressed. Guys, make sure you stay tuned, as we're also going to be rating treats and other dog foods. It's been Raul for the Q, catching you on the next one. All right, so we'll get out of here.
I'm the alpha. Yeah, we the king of the pack. A-Train Gene in the pack. Correct and clean in the pack. QB in teams with the facts. Killing the game, that's that.